If your blood runs orange and blue, this is the pod for you. You're listening to Orange and Blue Bloods, hosted by EJ Stewart. Let's get to it, New York.
How are you feeling, Knicks fans? What's up? This is EJ Stewart. You are watching Orange and Blue Bloods and listening to Orange and Blue Bloods, a New York Knicks podcast where we just watch the Knicks go belt to ass on the Philadelphia 76ers to take a 3-0 lead in their second round series. This is a special edition of Orange and Blue Bloods because I don't know, man. I don't know what the vibe was. I don't know what got into me, but I said I don't think that this is an episode that I can wait for the morning. I don't even think this is an episode that I can record at night and then let it drop in the morning, or you hear this in the morning and you with your coffee and your bagel or whatever. I was like, whoever is up, whoever is live, whoever is excited, wants to talk about what we just saw, I want to talk to them right now. I want them to hear this right now. So that's why, if you are on our YouTube channel, New Generation Media, if you are following me on X, I don't think I hit it on Instagram. Make sure I didn't fight. Oh, okay. I'm not gonna be live on Instagram. I think I closed it up by accident, unfortunately. Maybe I'm on Instagram. Maybe I'm not 100% sure. But if you're live on those, actually, I think I'm live on Instagram. I think I started. Yeah, I'm good. Any of those spots, you'll see your boy talking about the Knicks because again, they win Game 3, 108-94. This is another game where the Knicks put on a defensive masterclass, keeping their opponent under 100 points. They did this performance and they won this game despite not having OG Anunoby, who was injured and was sat out for this game with a hamstring strain. We'll give you an update on where things stand with him, and we got some word from Cassidy Hubbard, who was calling the game, or as a sideline reporter, who gave the recent update. All the updates you're hearing about OG have been very positive, so take it with a grain of salt. It is a playoff series, and they're trying to keep things coy, but it does not sound like he suffered a seriously severe injury. You would feel like if there was that happening, that the Knicks probably wouldn't be playing games the way they are. So it seems like even if he does have some kind of grade 1 strain, it does not sound like it's some debilitating injury, which is great news. But for the Knicks to go into Philadelphia, I cannot call it a hostile environment because, quite frankly, whether Joel Embiid wants to call it MSG East, even though MSG is actually north of Philadelphia and east of Philadelphia, or not east but north, whatever. I'm not doing the direction side; it's too late for that. But whatever he said, which was wrong, it should have been MSG South. Whatever you want to call it, that is what that arena, that Xfinity Mobile Center, became this evening, because Knicks fans flooded the arena as the team started to pull away in the second half. We started to feel the fans make their presence felt, and it was an absolute awesome performance as a team. There were some imperfections. We'll break down the entire game, the guys who played awesome, the guys who maybe didn't play so great, but the beautiful thing about this win was that it was a team win, and it puts the Knicks fully in the driver's seat, one win away from advancing to the Eastern Conference Finals, and potentially in line Sunday to go for the sweep. That is where we're at. That is the vibe we're talking about. This is EJ Stewart. You're listening to Orange and Blue Bloods, a New York Knicks podcast. If you're watching live on X or on YouTube or on Instagram, comment in the comment section. What did you think about the Knicks? What did you think about this W? What were your input? What was your insights on the game? I want to hear it all from you, because this was one of those games that I think a lot of Knicks fans really, really happy right now, and I wanted to make sure, again, I met them where they are, and I know that a lot of folks are live and online and wanting to see reactions, and I'm giving you my live reaction to what I saw in this Knicks win. So again, the Knicks, they take a commanding 3-0 series lead now. They win Game 6 again, 108-94. Jalen Brunson, phenomenal. He started this game 3 for 10, and you wouldn't know it looking at the box score, because he finished this game with 33 points. He shot 11 of 22 from the field, 8 for 9 from the free throw line, 9 assists. Certainly made Nick Nurse and the Sixers pay for trying to double him way, way, way far out in the half court. And he made smart decisions, and the team made smart decisions to tackle that strategy once Jalen Brunson got his shot together and got the ball rolling. Brunson was phenomenal, which is what he does when he enters that arena. There is something about these Villanova boys getting into that arena and just kicking the ass of the Philadelphia 76ers. We saw it 2 years ago, and now we're seeing it with not just Josh Hart, who then also had double-double in this game, but now Mikal Bridges, who is playing probably the best basketball of his Knicks career in the last 4 games. I think that is fair to say. You think about how he closed that game against the Hawks and how he has played this entire series. It is like we're watching a new guy, but how active he's been on the break. His jump shot right now is absolutely money. He is completely locked in. The defensive effort, once again, causing Tyrese Maxey trouble. He's been absolutely phenomenal. He had a great game in this one. 23 points, 2 steals. He was plus 15 on the floor. He had the highest plus minus of any starter for the New York Knicks. Masterclass performance once again from Mikal Bridges, who also made all 5 of his free throws. Awesome game from Bridges. He was phenomenal in this one. And you got to give a big shout out to the bench. The bench, pretty much all these guys came in and made an impact. But my guy, Landry Shamet, I never would have expected in a game where OG Anunoby is out, and I'm looking to a Mo Diarra, maybe even a Jeremy Sohan to be the guy that has to step in and fill the OG void. I knew Shamet would play and maybe play a little more. Did not expect 26 minutes. Did not expect 15 points. He made 2 threes, and it wasn't just the offense. It was also just how active he was out there on the floor, hustling for loose balls, causing offensive fouls just by running through screens and running over screens, or when Joel Embiid is trying to flop to get a foul. Just his effort was infectious. It felt like the Knicks came into the first quarter a little wobbly. They kind of survived the first quarter, and it felt like Shamet kind of came into the game, and Mitchell Robinson, and they kind of just infused life. They infused, a different edge, and all of a sudden it seemed like the whole team seemed to get their act together. So Landry Shamet, man, I don't know if they're still doing the the Timbs and the hard hat and the worker vest for the playoffs, but if Mike Brown wanted to give one out, there is no question who would deserve it. And I know this is a defensive player award, but he also was awesome defensively. Landry Shamet deserves all the flowers for how he performed in this game. And I mentioned it on the last episode. I said that, he actually played well the last game. It was kind of weird because he had literally 0 stats. Like for the however many minutes, 6 minutes, 10 minutes, however he played. He had no points, no rebounds, no steals, no shot attempts, no turnovers. Like he had literally nothing. Everything was 0. I think they used to call that a billion. I think I remember one of the NBA players saying when you played in the game but logged 0 stats, I think they call it a billion because I think all the numbers equal 9 numbers, the main numbers. Anyway, it was crazy. He did nothing, but he was a plus in the last game too that they won. So Shamet was showing that he was having an impact in the game, but you still didn't see the offense. And I said in the last episode, he's like when he's making shots, like it's a very important dynamic to the team. It makes them more dangerous. Like if he's not shooting, it's kind of hard to keep justifying playing him. But man, like if they could find a way to get him some good looks, he could really flip the game, and that is exactly what he did in this one. Again, he hit some huge threes. His defense was awesome, and again, I just thought his energy and his attitude was just infectious. I mean, the play that I thought really kind of was a statement of the game. I think really showed the juxtaposition between what he is doing out there on the floor and what the Knicks bench unit was able to do in this game, and what the Sixers bench unit is giving them, which is absolutely nothing, was the play where he hits a 3-ball off of Jalen Brunson double team, and a couple possessions later, he clamps up Quentin Grimes, who is his adversary, who again is providing essentially nothing for the Philadelphia 76ers. And, once a Knick, always a Knick. I don't want to diss Quentin Grimes, but at the end of the day, we know his primary weakness is his lack of ball handling, and Grimes, just with his ball pressure and relentlessness, makes him just drill the ball out of bounds. And he's looking for a foul, and it's like, there is no foul, man. You just can't dribble. And Landry Shamet gives out a yell. I think it felt like that was like the turning point, like, oh, we know how this game is going. And again, all the game balls and all the flowers to Landry Shamet for that performance. That was a great performance from him. So on the Knicks side, awesome games from the Villanova boys. Awesome game from Landry Shamet off the bench. Mitchell Robinson, I thought, did a really good job. He had to play a lot in this game because of what was unfortunately more Karl-Anthony Towns fouling nonsense. For as much of the flowers as Karl-Anthony Towns has gotten, and to be clear, he did rebound the ball well, and he still had 7 assists. So it wasn't like he was a complete minus, but this was definitely his worst game, probably of the playoffs. I thought he did a much better job in terms of taking angles on drives where he wasn't giving away silly fouls. But then he picked up these fouls in these other weird situations. And I just thought some of his like decision making and shot decisions were really bad. I don't know. He just didn't really ever get into a rhythm in this one. You're not gonna play great every time. This is not the time to excoriate Karl-Anthony Towns. He's been, so good throughout this entire postseason. But this was a down game. This was a game he didn't play great. The good news was the guy on the opposite side was too busy flopping around and doing nonsense to really be much of an impact. So Joel Embiid, he ended with 15 points. He had 5 assists but 3 turnovers. He was -9 on the floor. He was 7 for 17. He only took 6 free throws. The Knicks did a good job not fouling him that much, and he was trying like hell to foul, flail, throw his body into people. What I said in the last episode of Orange and Blue Bloods, a lot of this stuff came to fruition. I mentioned the Shamet needing to, if it would be great if he could come in and make some shots, and he did. That was awesome. But I said this on the last episode. I said, Joel Embiid, I've seen this MO too much. I've watched him, unfortunately, for his career, he's been in situations where his team's been down or his team's been in a tough spot. And I've watched him enough when he faces adversity. And when Joel Embiid faces adversity, that is when the antics, when it comes to how he comports his body on the floor, gets more out of control. And a lot of fans are like, yo, this guy's bugging. And it's like, this is what he does. It's going to get worse and worse. I don't know, like, the next game, I'll be honest, I don't know if he plays. He did not look great health-wise in this game either. At one point, he definitely was limping in the second half. It just felt like it was setting up for this to be like, hey, listen, he's not good. We're down 3-0. This thing is over. But what you saw with the sticking out his body and trying to have Landry Shamet trip over his leg, which could be super dangerous. Mitchell Robinson is trying to just get around him on a fast break, and he's flying and doing a 360. Somehow, Karl-Anthony Towns got called for a foul where Embiid is pushing him in the back, and then he grabbed his arm. It's like, well, he's got a 350-pound man that's about to land on him. Like, he has no choice but to give some resistance so that this doesn't become a catastrophic thing. For the Knicks and for their own well-being, again, I don't know if Embiid continues on in this series, but if he does, they need to get rid of this team as quickly as possible. Because the last thing the Knicks need is for this guy, as he gets more desperate, to start doing more stupid antics that ends up having a guy hurt an ankle, hurt an arm, or what. Like this guy is a health hazard. The Knicks need to go for this sweep and get these guys out of here quickly, because some of the plays in which he's crashing on Karl-Anthony Towns, he's throwing his leg out on Shamet, those are plays that easily could be injuries, and they're so unnecessary. It was a physical game. It was a tough game, and I really commend the refs. I thought they called a good game. And I'm not just saying that because the Knicks won. I thought this was a physical game, and where the physicality needed fouls to be called, I thought they called it, and where I think the weight of the game and the heightened intensity of the game required for the referees to let the guys play, for the most part, I think they let the guys play. I think both sides, I don't think anyone's sitting there complaining about fouls in this one. The plays I saw, they were getting their money's worth on fouls. I don't think you're sitting around talking about foul merchant for Jalen Brunson today. When he got fouled, he was getting hit in the arm and pulled, and it was clear. So I thought the refereeing was very good. I actually really commended Mark Davis on the offensive foul call he gave to Embiid on that handoff where he stuck his body out and then tried to take a charge. I don't even know what he was trying to do. But I was like, that can't be a defensive foul. And that's what you need to do. That is really what the NBA should be looking towards more when it comes to making these decisions on these guys that flop. Give them offensive fouls. Give them techs. That should be, you want to outlaw this stuff out of the game, technical foul them and flagrant foul them and give them personal foul anytime they do this silliness, and this stuff will be gone. So I thought they did a good job, despite Joel's efforts to make this a weird, crazy game where he gets 20 free throws. They did a really good job, I think, of showing great restraint. And again, I didn't think it was uneven. I didn't think the Knicks got some great whistles. I thought it was fine. I thought they both sides had calls that could have been fouls that they let go, and it was a physical game. But Embiid would have been the tipping point for his antics, and he did not get a lot of those calls. Some of the things I looked at in this game from the Sixers side, Paul George is struggling. This is now the second game in a row where he goes 0-4 in the fourth quarter. But for this game, it wasn't just the fourth quarter. He was not missing anything in the first quarter. He was dialed in. I'm like, oh man, he sees no OG Anunoby, and he's just feasting. And I was concerned this was going to be maybe a classic Paul George game, and maybe it was classic in a way that perhaps Paul George would not like, given some of his postseason shortcomings. But he didn't score. He didn't score a field goal the rest of the game. I think he finished the game 0 for 9 for the last 3 quarters of the game. And these were also misses that were ugly. I think at this stage of his career and where his body's at, he may be in a position where the first half of a game, the first quarter of a game, he is loosened up, rested, and ready to go. And he comes out guns blazing. But as the game gets on and the defense continues to intensify, and then he also has to extend a lot of energy defensively, because the Sixers made the shift that I expected and I thought that they should do, which is to put Paul George on Karl-Anthony Towns. I wasn't sure if, like, with OG not out there, I wasn't sure how necessary that was, but I still thought it was the right move. But now he's dealing with a 260, 270 pound guy leaning on him. Even if Karl-Anthony Towns is not scoring and he's actually doing a decent job, it's still a lot of wear and tear to have to cover a guy who's 7 feet tall, 260 pounds, when he's big, but Paul George ain't nowhere near that. So that, I think, didn't help what ended up being a rough shooting night. For a guy who started red hot, he ended up being 6 for 18 from the field. Again, missed his last, I don't know how many of his last shots he missed. I know for the last 3 quarters, he missed every shot. Did not make one. So Paul George, he's struggling mightily. It just feels like he gets to the second half and he has no legs. This was a weird game from Tyrese Maxey. I think that Stan Van Gundy was good on the call when it came to pointing out what was some mistakes in the coaching by the Sixers and Nick Nurse. You know, they kept really trying to get Maxey into more pick and roll situations. The Knicks, shout out to this defense once again. After a really bad first quarter, their defense was impenetrable basically for the last 3 quarters. And their angles on Maxey were so good. Like, the times when he got layups, when he beat them, they took good angles so they couldn't foul him. So he wasn't getting and ones. He wasn't just going straight to the free throw line or racking up fouls on the guys. They clearly watched the tape. They clearly getting a good feel for his game. So when he's turned the corner on these things, if he beats them, he beats them, and that's fine. But there's guys coming over, there's second and third defenders coming over to give help, and he's having to get it out and spray it. But there were plenty of times too where they're timing him well, and they're able to time him come off screen and get the ball out of his hands, because now there's 2 on him, and they don't seem to have the answers for what to do when Maxey has 2 on the ball, like the Knicks do. The Knicks got 2 on the ball with Brunson, and the Sixers are also doing so far out near half court. It's extending them so much, and the Knicks have all the answers. They're getting the ball exactly where it needs to be, and they're getting easy shots. The Sixers don't have those answers. It seems like it's kind of a scramble drill once that happens, and Max is either trying to dribble through 2 guys or 3 guys, or he's giving it up, and it doesn't seem like everybody exactly knows where to be to get the best shot. They'll have a game to maybe adjust to that, but the fact that this is 3-0, the fact that they didn't have something ready for it today is a problem, and it's why they're down 3-0 in this game. But I just thought Maxey at times wasn't aggressive enough, you know. And again, this is a guy that's being asked to do a ton. He played 44 minutes in this game. He's been playing north of 40-plus minutes pretty much every game in this postseason. And he's a guy that allows big minutes in the regular season. He's a guy that plays close to 40 minutes during the regular season. It just looks like a guy that may be running out of gas just for the season. Like, as good as he is, as fast as he is, as much of a jitterbug as he is, it's only so much the human body could do. And they've asked him to do a ton. And I was expecting a super aggressive Tyrese Maxey today, and that just didn't happen. He was just really tentative. It took him a while to just kind of get into the game. Paul George's offense, I think, kind of maybe felt like he could kind of ease his way in. But once the Knicks started walking them down a little bit in the second quarter and towards the end of the first quarter, that's when I thought Maxey would turn on the gas, turn the effing jets on, as Mike Brown would say, and it just never came. I was waiting for it, and it just never came. There's so many times during the broadcast where you have Stan Van Gundy be like, I don't know why he's just not going. Like, I don't know, like he's getting the ball and these like swings, and there's times where he can go 1-on-1 and he's just hesitating or waiting for a screen or just getting rid of the ball to guys who aren't making shots. Like, it just seemed like a bizarre game. And it goes to show you, not to diss Maxey because he's a star and he's a really good player. He's a fun player to watch when he's not playing your team. But there's levels to this, man. There's levels to this. And I don't know how many times the Knicks have had a matchup with some team where we have to hear over and over again about how this other team has a guy who is none of the accomplishments Jalen Brunson has in terms of postseason success, but that somehow the guy's better than Jalen Brunson. And it happened again this series with Tyrese Maxey. This is for the second time now, because he played this guy 2 years ago. And still, we've not seen Tyrese Maxey for a playoff series outplay Jalen Brunson. Just like we didn't see Jalen Johnson outplay Jalen Brunson. He couldn't even outplay freaking OG Anunoby. Just like we didn't see any of these guys, with the exception of Tyrese Halliburton, outplay Jalen Brunson. That's the only guy. So, at a certain point, some of these national media members and these folks that want to talk ball and think they know about the Knicks, it's about time maybe some of them start putting respect on Jalen Brunson's name in terms of what he brings to the table. We know his liabilities. We know he's not a great defender. We know the Knicks at times can lose games when they get too ISO ball heavy. But, I mean, he just cut these guys up after this first quarter. It was child's play. And again, the VJ Escom was going to be able to stop him. I mean, come on. Again, what are we talking about? Just an absolute, again, dazzling performance from Jalen Brunson. He gets into that environment playing in Philadelphia where he played so many of his college basketball games, and he just feels very comfortable. I think he sees those banners that the Villanova hung in the rafters for his championships, and I think he's ready to go. So, man, what a win. What a win. Knicks win 108-94 in Philly. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, watching on Instagram, get in the chat. For the Instagram folk, I know sometimes it's tricky for me to actually see the comments in the comment section. But if you're there, I hope you do give me a comment and want to know want to make a comment on what happened tonight. Again, Knicks win 108-94. One of the things, we'll get back to more stuff in the game, but one of the things I think I want to talk about real quick is OG Anunoby's status moving forward. So OG Anunoby did not play in this game. He was a scratch. Obviously, not a scratch, really. He was questionable, and he just didn't make it. Which I thought was the right move. You're up 2-0. He's a very important player, and he's playing extremely well. And that almost makes it even more of a reason why you need to sit him, because the Knicks have shown, and they've seen that when he is playing at the high level he is playing right now, and everything else is clicking on all cylinders, the Knicks feel... Right now, they feel a little unbeatable, at least in the East. Again, I'm not talking about anything in the West, but with how they're playing and this guy, how he's played, it feels like really not too many teams can see them right now in the Eastern Conference. So with that being said, as much as this was an important game, and you could really see how intense it was, how physical it was, how much emotion there was in this game. As important as this game was, and everybody, despite the slow start, understood the assignment, it was not important enough to risk OG Anunoby's long-term health in this postseason run to throw him out there with a 65 or 75% hamstring tweak, even if it was a tweak. And that is what Cassie Hubbard described it as during the broadcast today, which it continues the dialogue that we've heard almost essentially since the last episode of Orange and Blue Bloods dropped. You knew it was going to happen. I was like, I don't know when to record this, but I don't want to wait too long. And then you record it, and then an hour later, the news drops. And I'm talking about doom and gloom about OG's hamstring, and the Knicks are trying to tamp down the concerns about it. And again, there's some postseason gamesmanship that happens, so I'll hold until I see OG Anunoby back on the court before I get really, really excited that he'll be okay. But all you've heard is that this was, again, like Cassidy had said, a minor tweak, and that they're not giving even a grade on the hamstring strain. That some of that seems a little gamesmanship. Like, it's clearly a grade 1 probably. If you're not giving us, if you're saying it's a tweak or it's not too bad, then okay, it's not a grade 2 or grade 3. That's great, but you strained something. You're not just, oh, we looked at it and he's fine. Clearly he's not. Otherwise he'd be playing. But it seems like he has a grade 1 strain at the worst. And that typically, sits you out for a week or maybe 2, if, at most. So that's good news. And it's really good news now that the Knicks won Game 3. But I thought they made the right decision to sit him. There was no reason to risk his health, because if the Knicks want to do the overall goal is not to beat the Philadelphia 76ers in this series. That is the goal currently, and that's the thing in front of them, the objective in front of them, because you can't look ahead. But the large goal for this season was to win an NBA championship and at minimum get to the NBA Finals. It is going to be extremely hard to do that without OG Anunoby healthy. And it can't be he's in and out of the lineup dealing with a bad hamstring. He's got to just rest, get right, and whenever that is, hopefully that's before the series is over, or the series is already over and we got to worry about it, that's when he should be out there on the court. That is where they're at right now. If you get in a situation where it's 3-2 now and things are dicey, okay, maybe you're like, listen, we got to save the season. We can't afford to lose the series. It's a Game 7. That's a one thing, right? We saw him try to give the team all he could a couple years ago when he had that more severe hamstring strain and tried to play in Game 7 of the 2024 Eastern Conference Semifinals. Let's knock on wood, hope that we don't see any kind of Game 7s given the fact that they're up 3-0. That would be catastrophic if somehow the series got 7 games. But unless something like that is a situation, there's no need to see him at this point. Get him ready for the Eastern Conference Finals and hope that the Cavs, listen, they're down 0-2 as well. But hope the Cavs can win a couple games at home and show some fight and maybe let that be a longer series than we expected. And who knows, the Knicks could be sitting around with some really nice rest for a little while before the conference final starts. That is a possibility if things work out a certain way. Obviously we'll learn a lot more tomorrow once the Cavs and Pistons play, and there'll be an opportunity to see if the Cavs can make this a long series. But if I'm the Knicks, you don't rush this thing. So I'm happy he didn't play. I'm not gonna say I was shocked that Dewar didn't get a look. I did tweet this and I posted this on Buzzer as well, and I felt this watching the game. Paul George was so hot to start, and he seemed so comfortable shooting over Josh Hart, who we kind of forget because of how physical he plays and how aggressive he is and how much of a lightning rod he is. We kind of forget that he's 6'5". Like, yes, he plays like he's 6'9", but he's a guard. He's 6'5", maybe 6'4". Like, he's not that big. And Paul George is like 6'9", 6'10", with crazy long arms. He's going to shoot over Josh Hart every single time. So I saw how he was shooting the ball, and I was like, I don't like this. Please get some length on him. But the Knicks probably, glad I wasn't coaching. The Knicks, I think, also probably felt like he can't keep this up. We've seen this act before. He's not going to keep this up for 4 quarters, and he did not. So the Knicks did not need DOR in this game. DOR did get to play because this game became a garbage time game, as Marv Albert say. But this did not require DOR or Jeremy Sohan to come in and give them some minutes on Paul George to take him away. But man, what a win! And I what's so cool about this team right now, and we say this with the obvious caveat that people will do the same thing. Oh, you're running around and giving them trophies and championships. We're just talking about the game that happened and the game that won, and we're observing the team as they move through this thing. Who knows how this thing will end? But you watch this team, and you watch just how they comport themselves when it's winning time in playoff situations for the last 6 games. They really hasn't been. There were a lot of blowouts in there, but you've seen 2 games in a row now. Again, in Philadelphia, this kind of became a blowout, but it was not a blowout. This was a competitive game for most of it. Like, you see just the way they comport themselves and how they just make every winning play, make the stop that has to be made, make the pass, make the shot that has to be made. Just for a Knicks fan who has seen so much losing and has seen, even with like this generation of the Knicks, seen them play against other teams who have beat them, who seem to make those plays. It's crazy to like watch the Knicks on this side do it, and you're like, oh, they're methodically tearing this team apart, and that's really what this game became. The Sixers were coming unglued. Again, this is another game where they couldn't score 100 points. The Knicks defense was really good, and now you get to what is going to be hopefully a lot of fun. because we have an opportunity to recreate history. Because in 1989, the Knicks, with head coach Rick Pitino, who currently is coaching a team that's home court is Madison Square Garden, but he's not coaching the Knicks. He's coaching St. John's. But when head coach Rick Pitino brought in his New York Knickerbockers into the Spectrum, up 2-0 in a series, and despite a great game from Charles Barkley, went down there and won in overtime thanks to some clutch shots and clutch play from Gerald Wilkins, and swept the Philadelphia 76ers to take a 3-0 lead. In that time, first round series were just best of 5. So they win 3-0, series over, they win. And they had the infamous picture that I actually will see if I can, for those that are watching the show live, if you're watching, I want to see if maybe I can pull it up real quick. The infamous picture that was on the back page of pretty much every sports tabloid at that time, which was the Knicks on the Spectrum floor with the broom. And I'll say it right now, I don't know if there's anybody in that locker room, anybody that's part of the organization that knows the history and knows kind of. Can you say it's iconic? It was a big moment at the time. Like, for those who are Knicks fans who lived through that time, it's not me, but that's my dad's generation and people who like. That's something they still talk about, like how big that was and how funny that was and how much they relished that because of this Sixer-Knicks rivalry. And I actually was watching clips from that game recently, because that game 3 was a war. It was actually very similar to this game. Not necessarily in the sense that that game was closer. This was, again, ended up being, a 14-point win. So that was different. But in terms of just how intense it was and how physical it was, like Charles Barkley a couple of times basically got into fights. Like, this is the 80s. So they were letting a lot more stuff go. But it was similar in that regard. The crowd was into it. The guys were going back and forth. There was a lot of animosity on both sides. And then the Knicks got it done. And to add injury to insult for the Sixers, they took this picture. That if you're watching live or you're watching on YouTube, is a picture of, you got Mark Jackson in there. Who else do you got in there? Let's see. You got Mark. Johnny Newman is in there. I think shout out to Johnny Newman. I don't know who his brother is on the left or the guys behind them, but them guys went out there and they got the broom and they started sweeping the Spectrum floor. It's a different time. I probably, somebody on the Sixers would probably start a fight or something. Maybe it's unnecessary, but I would kill for the Knicks to find a way to recreate this picture on Sunday if they could find a way to sweep the Sixers in Game 4. Because this is Knicks history that you have right there with that picture of all those guys after their sweep of the Sixers in 1989 in the first round. That was a really underrated, really good Rick Pitino team. Very good team. Unfortunate that he could not get along with the front office, and that did not last very long in terms of his tenure with the Knicks. But I really do feel like where the Knicks are right now as we look ahead to Game 4, you have to feel really good about their chances of going and getting these guys out of here. Because, number one, I do feel like Joel Embiid just kind of might just shut it down. And I don't know. I don't want to really cast an aspersion about what that means. Somewhere you could say, oh, like, are you just kind of quitting on your team? The guy went through hell to kind of try to get back. They are outmanned. It is clear the Knicks are the better team. To come back from down 3-0 would be completely stunning. It just seems it's one of those things where maybe you sit on this game, you somehow win a Game 4, maybe you bring it back for a Game 5 because now it's a series. I don't know, but I just don't know if it's really worth it for him. So I think he might not play. There's an argument to be made that maybe they cause more problems for the Knicks when he is not playing than when he is. Again, he was minus in this game. The Sixers' best game in this series was when he didn't play. But he is Joel Embiid. I'm not going to go that far. But I think Embiid won't play, which I think in the end is still a plus for the Knicks. I think that this was watching that Sixer bench, because they showed a shot of the bench kind of once all the starters came out of the game. They looked defeated. They looked dejected. This was a game they knew they had to have, and I thought they gave the Knicks their best punch in that first quarter. And the Knicks stood strong and just punched back way harder. And as much as they tried to fight back in that game, it just felt like they were fighting an uphill all game. And if you're the Knicks, man, show what you showed in Atlanta. I think a lot of Knicks fans really welcomed that show of killer instinct that this team and this franchise as a whole has lacked for so many years. The Knicks have been they've been the poster child really for giving up deficits, giving up leads, playing with their food, letting teams come back. And I think that Hawks win in Game 6 was so cathartic because it was like, wow, like for them to absolutely just rip the heart out of another team in that way to close out a series is just not something that Knicks fans are used to or observers are used to. I think it was shocking for everybody involved watching that game. I'm not saying you need to win the next game by 60 points, but like I do think in terms of just the seriousness of what it would mean to sweep this team, I do think is important. I think that they need to try to see if they can get this done, man. Don't play around. This doesn't have to go to Madison Square Garden. And when you're dealing with one of your guys being hobbled, and now there is that game of like, you take these games seriously, but the game of like, there's an advantage to if we win this series as early as possible, potentially a lot more rest. That should be a big enough carrot for everyone involved in the organization to take this game 4 super seriously. The Sixers, they're going to probably come out first quarter, give a ton of energy, ton of effort. I think if the Knicks can withstand that, they've shown that offensively Philly doesn't have enough dynamic scoring. They don't have enough, I think, dynamic play calling really to attack the Knicks defense the way they need to win this series or win these games, quite frankly. So the Knicks have, I think, every opportunity in the world to go for the sweep and to make this thing happen. I think that they'll make it happen. I didn't like the look in Philly's eye sitting on that bench. You lose game 3, it is devastating. You can't hide how you feel. But that didn't strike me as the 0-3 Red Sox saying, "Oh, don't let this get to game 5." That did not. I didn't get that vibe from them. In fact, I felt a lot of that bravado and a lot of that stuff we kind of saw at the end of game 2, where Jeremy Sohan did something. I don't know what he did. He said something, whatever, and it seemed like the whole Sixer bench and the whole Sixer team got really agitated. And Kelly Oubre is doing to keep that same energy post. That means nothing now, right? And all that's talk. But that little fieriness, that like, hey, we're here to play, we're here to fight, like this is gonna be a war, like that was there at the game 2. I don't feel that energy in game 3. Also, by the way, a little small thing. Excellent job by Cat. And I saw Jalen Brunson too, but Cat was one of the main ones. That buzzer was sounding. Those guys got on the court and told those guys, get the hell back to the locker room. Like, and Jeremy Sohan clearly, he was kind of laughing because I think he clearly wanted to troll them again because now they're down 0-3. But nothing has been accomplished. Nothing has been accomplished. This is not the goal. The goal is not to win game 3. The goal is not to be up 3-0. The goal was to win the series. The overall goal is to win a championship. There is no reason to be trolling, no reason to be celebrating, no reason to give them any kind of fuel, ammunition, nothing. They are dead in the water. Let them sit there and rot the way they are. Don't give them any kind of fuel, any kind of ignition to try to do something crazy here. Smart move by the guys to say, get your ass off the court and go to the bench and go to the locker room. This one's over. Let's focus on game 4. Showed, again, just the level of seriousness that this team is showing. And I think what's really the reason why I'm so impressed by it and the reason why I think me and so many other Knicks fans keep talking about it is because of how unserious they were in those 2 games they lost to Atlanta. Like it looked like a team that was completely unserious and was like this. They don't know what the moment is. They don't know like what they clearly don't know what's going to take to accomplish what they're trying to do. Like it was extremely frustrating because you felt like even if they won that series that they were going to be an early exit potentially because of how unserious they were. They've flipped the script on that completely. This is a team that is locked in a way on all fronts, including the head coach, who I thought coached another really good game. I had a little issue with him not taking out Mitch with 2:56 left in the third quarter. It was only a minute left, and Mitch went 4 for 6. He might have missed 2 more. I think he ended up going 4 for 8. Well, he went 4 for 6 in that stretch, and he ended up missing 2 free throws later. But with 1 minute to play, I don't know how you don't throw in Halporti or go small for a minute with the lead that they had. I thought he kind of got lucky playing with fire, like playing with Mitch shooting free throws and seeing how that went. They went 4 for 6, so you ended up being okay. And the Knicks ended up winning that quarter, which I thought was huge. Because they started off the third quarter kind of rough, and they still ended up winning the quarter. And I think that was deflating for Philly, too. Because Philly, I think, knew they had to win that quarter, cut into the lead. And when they didn't, and in fact, the lead, it grew by a point, they were like, oh, man, like this is tough sledding for us to score and beat this team. So I thought that was a little quirk that I wasn't crazy about. I would have played Diawara, but he didn't get burned by it at all because Paul George is a first quarter assassin, and it seems like that's all he's got right now. So the two decisions that I thought I would have done differently didn't actually really hurt the Knicks, so I can't really kill Mike Brown. Otherwise, his rotations were pretty sharp. You know, Cat got his second foul like right as he's about to come out the game with like 4 or 5 minutes left in the first quarter. It's like, come on, man. It was just like you're about to come out of the game. Just survive the next dead ball. We can get you to the bench with just one foul, and you could really play the whole second quarter without really having to deal with foul trouble. And that just it continues to be a issue. It might be one of those things that he just has to get out of this series before we worry about fouls. The good news is I mean James Harden's in way Cleveland's playing. I don't feel like James Harden's gonna be there, but there's a chance that unless James Harden's in the next series, the Pistons don't really present guys that present foul issues for Karl Anthony Towns. And the Cavs really only have, again, one guy who is a foul guy. So it feels like hopefully this is just a series he has to just survive, and then he can move on, and then maybe this won't be an issue moving forward. But the fouls did become another thing as well. One thing I got to definitely get to, though, and talk about before I move on and get out of here, because I'm glad I did this live. This was just, I think, the energy. I hope you feel the energy I feel. You're probably hearing a little bit of the nighttime congestion I get, which happens because I am terribly allergic to my dog. And as the Zyrtec I take daily wears off in the night, I usually get a little congested. You may be hearing that a little bit at the end here, but I'm trying to power through. How about that Mitchell Robinson alley-oop? I mean, you want to talk about a lot of cathartic elements about this postseason run so far. Thinking about where Mitchell Robinson was a couple years ago on that same basket around that same area, and his season was essentially ended by Joel Embiid making a flagrantly dirty play that somehow he didn't get ejected for. I still will never understand that. Or suspended. Nothing. It was just crazy. But thinking about how his season ended a couple years ago on that play and other plays following that, and for him to absolutely baptize that boy right underneath, right in that same spot, was chef's kiss on this game and on this win. And for the Knicks, hopefully on this series, because you want to talk about sending their ass to Cancun in an emphatic way. That is a video that's going to be played on every Knicks playoff highlight reel for this generation of Knicks playoff highlights. Hopefully it'll include some championship stuff. We don't know. Hopefully it will. But either way, when we talk about this generation of Knicks and what they did in the playoffs, that alley-oop is going to get played every single time. Any recap video or recap tribute of this season is going to be played that alley-oop over and over and over again. You're going to see it. Any retrospective on the great Knick career of Mitchell Robinson, that dunk, that alley-oop is going to be played over and over and over again. Such a sweet moment. And what an incredible play. And finally, the Knicks finding the opportunity to use Mitchell Robinson's talents as a lob threat. It's been a revelation for the team. And that dunk was just... I shout out to the folks over at New York Post Sports. Shout out to my guy Dexter Henry, Brian Fonseca. Maria Marino was there with them. So shout out to her as well. ESPN. I had to go to their video because I was like, I need to see somebody else's reaction to that dunk. I did it at halftime. I was like, did anybody? I was like, man, I'm probably going to get a noise complaint because I went ballistic on that Mitchell Robinson alley-oop. And their reactions were good too, but I was like, oh man, y'all should show more energy. That was I don't know how y'all kept it together. I was bugging after that dunk. And I commented on the comment section. I was like, yo, I will probably get a noise complaint because of how loud I yelled at that Mitchell Robinson dunk. But I'm really happy for Mitch. Really happy for this team. 3-0. Again, job not finished, of course. But now you got an opportunity to sweep the Sixers in 4 games. Which you want to talk about a resounding statement that would be as well. Forget about also just like how, talking about the Knicks showing, killer instinct and things that, exercising demons of past in terms of how they approach these scenarios and not blowing things. Like, the statement that would show to sweep this team with the dialogue that was happening about this series, people were running to Philly for this series. A lot of people also kind of setting up the tea leaves for like, well, the Knicks can't blow it now because Boston's not around. Kind of setting up the like, well, if they lose, that we're going to jump on them because how'd you lose when Boston and Indiana is nowhere to be found? For all that dialogue and all that discourse about what this series is going to be like, if they sweep these guys, that is a emphatic statement about what this team is doing right now. Again, statements only go so far as the next series, and they'd have to face this next team, just like the statement they made against Boston. Unfortunately, did not mean anything against Indiana. But just from our standpoint as basketball fans and observers, you would be like, whoa, like Boston fought tooth and nail with that team and lost. They're going to sweep these guys? The Knicks right now are playing on another level, and this is something that, again, all Knicks fans, I think, should be really excited about. Trying to see, I'm just scouring on social media because I'm doing this live. I don't have, usually I know people who listen to Orange and Blue Bloods, usually they're accustomed to maybe hearing some post-game sound, things like that. Obviously, I don't have post-game sound cut because I don't think any press conferences happened by the time I jumped on here and got ready to go live. So I haven't seen all that much, but I will do a quick scroll here. Apologies, this sounds like bad podcasting, but I'm wondering if there's just anything of note that was said in the press conferences or anything. Not anything crazy that I've seen so far. Shout out to Knicks Videos, SNY team. They do a great job posting clips online. So there is something of note I would play for you guys. Let's see anything else. Mike Brown was very complimentary of Landry Shamet and the bench for how well they played and how much they dominated this game. Also very complimentary of Mikal Bridges. He said without OG, we were down a big wing. Mikal had to take that part over. And he was very complimentary of what Mikal did. He was also really excited about the alley-oop dunk as well. He said that play was run to perfection, which is what I just said. I think I'll try to get you guys to hear this soundbite, and I'll set up my my sound thing real quick. I can play some sound on the fly every now and then. But I want you guys to hear Mike Brown because I talked about the defense again because I think what's going to be lost in Jalen Brunson's third three-point masterclass, Mikal Bridges coming alive in this way in the playoffs, I think will probably still be the overall team defense that has been awesome. Here's Mike Brown talking about how the Knicks once again put the clamps on Philly down the stretch.
I feel like clutch and crunch time numbers usually reference how players perform on the offensive end, but under pressure in clutch moments, what have you seen from Mikal on the defensive end? Have you seen him take his defense to another level, whether it's crunch time or whether the pressure is on?
Well, I would say our entire team has done a pretty good job with that. Again, Philly's a great team, and to think in the last 2 fourth quarters, they've had a combined, I hope I get this right, 30 points in the last 2 quarters. That's unheard of. And I give a lot of credit to all of our guys on that end of the floor.
I feel like clutch.
I mean, yeah, they're putting the clamps on these guys. Their defense, again. And I mentioned this on here. I've mentioned it on other shows I've done. When people have asked me what's the thing I'm most concerned about with the Knicks when it comes to the playoffs, I was concerned about will they guard. They're a team that they were built to be a team that, despite having a few quote-unquote weak links, still was supposed to be a good defensive team. And their defense at times has been awesome. At times it's just been okay. So to see them, again, just turn the water off on teams in the fourth quarter and turn the water off on teams for extended periods of time like you saw with how they finished how they played in that second quarter, how they finished that fourth quarter. And I would say really like the last like 16 or so minutes of this game. The Knicks defense is serious and it's for real right now, and it's really it just shows just how much growth this team again is enjoying right now. So I agree with Mike Brown. They're doing an excellent job defensively, and it's the reason why they are enjoying the lead that they're enjoying. So Knicks have an opportunity Sunday. We'll see if they're able to close the deal. That will be a 3:30 start. NBA draft lottery will be right before that. So those who are interested in the draft, by the way, I do. The great thing about where I'm at right now, and there's some things that are not so great, but the one thing that is great about my situation is that I'm actually getting to create a lot of content. I'm doing a lot of different things, and I have it seems like now 1 million shows that I'm doing every week. And not complaining at all. It's awesome, but that's just the reality I'm living in right now. What's really cool is I just launched a new NBA draft show. For those who are veterans of the New Generation Media page, you would know that I've been doing draft content for 10 years almost. So what's really exciting is that I get the opportunity to do that once again with Buzzer. And I'm not live on Buzzer today, at least for this episode. I was live earlier this morning. But Buzzer, BZZR, is going to be the mobile app you search for. It's a brand new sports mobile app giving you verified sports content from your favorite sports content creators. I'm very fortunate enough to be one of those creators doing stuff on there. And I'll be doing a show exclusively for Buzzer with my brother Kendall Stewart, who you know very familiar on the New Generation Media channel, for those who may not know from watching shows that I do or listening to shows that I do other places, because obviously Orange and Blue Blood started as an Odyssey property, an Odyssey show. Buzzers is a really cool app, doing a draft show there, so we'll be doing plenty of content next week, next Thursday. We do every show Thursday at 6 p.m. Talking about the NBA draft. So excited about the NBA draft lottery. That'll be before the Knicks play. I will say this, it is way better to be in this spot than where Knicks fans were 5, 6, 7 years ago, where you kept worrying about when the draft lottery was. That was the next thing you got to worry about after the season was over. And to be quite honest, most of the time for Knicks fans, the season was over in like January. So this is a lot better feel where I can enjoy the draft lottery more as a fan, not as someone who is like on his hands and knees begging for Zion Williams or the next savior to come to New York. That is not where we're at right now, and that's not where the Knicks positioning is. The Knicks are, again, in the driver's seat of this series. They are in the driver's seat to advance to the next round, and they have a chance to do something that they have not done, now that I'm thinking about it, in the Jalen Brunson era Knicks, or the Leon Rose era Knicks, if you want to even extend it. They have not swept the team. I'm trying to remember. They beat Cleveland in 5. They beat Philly in 6. They beat Atlanta in 6. Who am I missing? They lost to the Hawks in 5. They've never been swept, which is good. But they've never swept anybody. So this also would be cool. This would be something that Knicks fans haven't experienced of this generation, see the team actually sweep somebody. I think the last time they swept the team, I want to say, was 99 against the Hawks. Fact check me if you're in the chat if I'm wrong on that. But I'd say I'm about 85% sure that was the last time they swept the team. They damn sure didn't do it with Melo, unfortunately. I don't think they swept anybody in 2000. But I could be wrong. But I think 99 against the Hawks was the last time they swept somebody, if I'm not mistaken. So they have an opportunity to do something they haven't done in 26 years, 27 years. So hopefully they get that done, man. That's going to do it, guys. This was fun. I'm glad I got to come on here, do some Knicks content with you guys, talk about this game. Again, I just was in a different feel, different vibe. I was like, I can't wait to talk about this game. Like, the excitement that I have and how fun I feel. I mean, I thought I planned to record after the game and just get it out and have everybody be able to listen to it in the morning. But I was like, you know what? Let's do something more than that. Let's actually go live. So anybody that's watching on X, I know a ton of people are on X right now watching. So shout out to y'all who are checking me out. Shout out to the folks on X. Shout out to the folks on Instagram. Shout out to the folks on the YouTube channel, New Generation Media. That's where we post all videos of Orange and Blue Bloods. And of course, for those listening to the podcast as we normally do, shout out to the people who are listening to our podcast, of course. You can catch Orange and Blue Bloods wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Orange and Blue Bloods. And do me a favor. If you can subscribe to the channel, if you can give me a 5-star review, and if you go also hit auto download on the channel and all these podcasts, that would help us a ton. That helps drive traffic, helps just overall the property and the content. So if you can do those 3 things, subscribe, auto download, and give a 5-star review of the show, we would greatly appreciate it. I think that's it, though. Again, I'm going to thank you guys for checking out this episode of Orange and Blue Bloods. Shout out to the Knicks for taking care of business in Game 3. We will have a new episode of Orange and Blue Bloods probably after, like, Sunday evening. Like, I don't know. I could, there's no reason why I can't probably do the show after. It's an afternoon game. So, I don't know. Sunday evening, maybe Monday morning, who knows. But there'll be a recap after Game 4. I don't know if it'll be live again, but we'll definitely have another episode. So make sure you follow the audio channel to find those episodes. And of course, again, you want to watch on New Generation Media YouTube channel. That'll do it for now. I am EJ Stewart. And of course, go Knicks. See you later.